this video I'm going to show you some tricks and techniques of how to paint these rocks. But first I'm just going to have a look at this bridge because I'm not happy with the shape of this. Now I don't know whether you've seen these magic erasers. They're used for things around the house, but actually they're great for getting paint off if you've got a stubborn area. So let's just have a go. I can just tear some little bits off, add a bit of water, use a tissue, and let's just do it again. It's a bit muddy, bit of water, and it takes it right back to white. Even, I do a lot of that with a brush, but sometimes it's a bit stubborn and it leaves a stain, whereas this really does go right back to white. So I can show you just on the edge because this will be underneath the mount. You see? So that's pretty good. And then what I've done is I've enlarged the picture and then I've photocopied it and drawn the outline of the bridge, then traced it on tracing paper. And now I'm just going to check that. And actually, I'm not that far out. And I think once I've finished my foliage, that'll probably be okay. So I'm just going to look at all of these rocks in this area. And if people are familiar with my work, they'll know I do a lot of wet in wet. And I'm painting each individual rock separately. And that's just the way that I prefer to do it. Some people might just wet the whole area and just paint it all at once. But I do one rock at a time. And then I'm just dropping in some lighter colours, looking at my picture the whole time, where the shadows are, darker at the bottom, any crevices, any cracks, making those darker. And just remember that all the colours I use are non-staining, so if it's not right, I can take it off afterwards. And if it's a bit stubborn, I can use my magic eraser. Okay, so I'm just going to carry on and just keep wetting this area. And incidentally, the colours that I'm using for the dark area is ultramarine blue and light red, and it's nothing like a red, it's like a terracotta. It's very dominant, quite opaque, but really beautiful colour when you mix it with ultramarine. And they're all just student colours. I don't always use professional, I use both, so don't be scared of them. There is a bit of snobbery with art, and you can see, this is the colour it creates. And to get that really dark colour or shade, you just make your paint thicker to the consistency of single cream. Don't have it too thin, not for the dark bits. And then I'm putting it on and I'm softening edges and so on. So I'll just carry on, put a few little cracks in, put some more little bits in here. Now I'm trying to separate some of the rocks by creating dark spaces in between them, like the shadowed areas there. And then softening some of the edges. So I'm softening all the little lines now. And then I'm just going to do this one here in the foreground on the left. There will be more work that I need to do on them all once I've done the water. And I'm not going to be doing the water in this video. I will do that on my next video. But we just need to get these rocks in, even if it's just in a very simple form as a foundation. So once again, I'm looking at the colours, areas that will be in shadow, areas that will be caught by the sun, and then putting in the dark cracks and crevices. And I'm leaving the bottom edge of this rock quite blurred really, because when I do the water, that will be the beginning of the reflection of the water. So I'm not going to get too bogged down with finishing that area at all. And then this rock here at the back, I'm just putting a few more little cracks in there. And just to create a base where the water will begin, once again, I'm just going to use a really thick paint. It's a bit shiny on here, but just nice and thick, which will create the area where the rock will meet the water. Like that there. Just the beginnings and a little bit of the reflection. But I mustn't get bogged down with that because I do tend to jump about when I get bored. I jump about from doing a bit of foliage and a few rocks. And anyway, let's get back on task to finishing these rocks up here. And then just thinking about the shapes of the rocks, I think actually that might not look quite right. I'll take a little bit of that off. Just tweak the edge, change the shape. Just soften that. and then just carry on. On this bit here, I'm just going to knock this back a wee bit, just with a bit of shadow, and then put a few darker cracks and crevices in there. Okay, and I'll come back to those because there's not enough detail in this rock here on the left, and I know that, but I can do that later. So that's where I'm up to at the moment. It's beginning to look okay. I think there's a lot of nice sunlight on the rocks there, and you can see I've started the foliage, but I've got an awful lot of that to do. But I think these two rocks up here need to be separated in better, so I'm going to create that illusion by putting some dark in between the two. So the secret is to have a very crisp line which defines the top edge of the rock, that rock at the bottom, but then soften the top edge so you have a crisp edge and a soft edge. If you just left it as just a black line, it would look like it was an outline. You know, and organic objects don't have outlines, so you don't want to do that. Okay, so essentially what I mean is you paint a dark area like that, and then keep one edge crisp, and then with clear water wet above it, and then just touch the dark area, and because it's still wet it'll run into the water, but there's still a bit of an outline there. Can you see there's still an outline, which I don't actually like, so I've just added a little bit more paint in there, and I think it could do with a bit more. So it's just an area of darkness, it's not a line anymore. So to put that into practice, put your line on here, which will define the top edge of that lovely rock, and then soften the top edge of the dark area and just blend that away with some clear water. And that then looks like an area of shadow, not a black outline. Okay, so I've got one more rock to do over here. Same thing, wet it first, pop your colours in, starting with your light colours. I think I'm using a bit of burnt sienna, a bit of raw sienna, and I'm using the two colours together, like I mentioned, ultramarine blue and light red. Different thicknesses, that's a medium sort of thickness. And then I have a very thick one like single cream consistency, which really does sort of make a better definition. So I'm just having a look at that. And, you know, things can be, you can tweak things. I'm not going to say fiddle because my students laugh at me when I say don't fiddle with it. So I'm not fiddling, I'm tweaking. Okay, so I do think that this rock at the front needs to stand out more. The way to do that is to make the background darker. So exactly the same process. Put some dark on and then fade out that top edge. So you've got your crisp edge, which defines the rock at the front, and then fade away. Add a bit of colour if you need to. I'm just going to make that a little bit darker. And that's where we're up to. So I'm quite pleased with that. I've done a lot more of the foliage, done quite a lot of the rocks, still a little bit of detail to do in the rocks. And then the water I will do in my next video, but I need a little bit of time to think about how I'm going to do that. So in the meantime, why don't you go away and try and do some rocks? Don't be scared of them, just have fun, and as usual, as I always say, happy painting.